is that I see a lot of people, I guess, a lot of challenges when it comes to the application. My name is Ahmed Elnaggar, and this is Monday Legal.
Good morning. Back again with Monday Legal. This episode, I have Sarah Malik, the very famous one, and we will not talk about the law. We'll talk about everything else. Good morning, Sara.
Good morning, Ahmed, and thank you. And I'm glad we're not talking shop.
Thank you very much for coming to the Jurist podcast, Monday Legal. Very happy to have you here. And today we plan to talk about anything that is not related to the law.
Fantastic.
Beyond the law. So
that works.
Can you, we'll do it the media guys style.
Okay.
What do you do other than lawyering? Because you're lawyering all the time. You're speaking in many legal events. You're doing a lot of events related to training and so on and so forth. But we don't want to talk about that. What do successful lawyers do beyond lawyering?
Well, I like to have a life outside of law. Some of it complements the law, but I keep myself busy. I enjoy sports. I enjoy music. I enjoy traveling, not just for work. I have my children. I work out. And I try to make the best of each moment. So aside from law, I have other businesses as well that I invest in and I enjoy doing, and increasingly doing more on the fashion, sports, entertainment side, strategic and operational. So the law is one hat I wear, and I've worn it for now 25 years, actually, this month. Wow. So that's a long time. Whether I'll do it for another 25, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this approach for many successful lawyers when they kind of do it all and they feel like they achieved a lot, but none of them go to fashion or sports. Everybody go to, I don't know, real estate. Some of them do family office work sometimes. Some of them just go and do in-house just to feel that
it's funny.
Relax.
I'll tick all of those three off. So I already act as kind of external GC, so in-house. Real estate, I'm doing some stuff in. Family office, I've already done. So I kind of tick those off, and that's why I've probably gone into the sports and fashion. And as all those who know me know, I'm always disruptive anyway, and I kind of lead my own way, and I don't follow the well-trodden path.
So tell us a little bit, what are you doing in fashion? Because I've seen that you're doing the Sarah Malik Lifestyle.
Correct.
And this is one of the entrepreneurship ideas that you have started. What is Sarah Malik Lifestyle?
So basically, over years, there was this kind of constant demand internationally. Sarah, can you help us with this? Can you mentor us with that? It was from businesses, it was from individuals. And it wasn't necessarily always just a legal kind of brief, which I could put through Sol. So I realized that there was a demand in the market for people who wanted to hear from someone who's experienced, someone who's involved with industry. My passion from a young age has always been kind of fashion, sports. I've grown up with it. I grew up in a family where my parents are in retail and wholesale. I, walked the streets of London as a kid with my father, mesmerized by all of the, beautiful dresses and he'd buy. And my mother, attention to detail. She's really into her clothes. As kids, we had our attire flown in on Eid from abroad. So I kind of grew up in that environment and I never lost the passion for it. Going to the bar, very conservative profession. I think I was able to kind of put out the nice shoes, but I dressed, as I'm supposed to dress, in a dark suit in London. And coming to Dubai, I was able to break free and really be myself. I pursued a course in fashion law last year as I was traveling in London and Zanzibar and trying to holiday for 150 hours or 120 with the Milan Fashion Institute. And after that, I was appointed on the Beirut Fashion Advisory Council by Sara. And have worked with some of the fashion houses in the UAE in terms of employee issues, in terms of kind of HR, and increasingly now with European brands who are coming into the Middle East. So it kind of grew organically. And then it wasn't really something I wanted to put under Sol because I don't just advise on contracts. It's operational advice, it's strategic advice. So I think in those areas, fashion and sports, you need to be involved in the industry. Right. It's not like contract law or tax law where you can sit behind a desk and do the contracts or practice the law. I think the credibility comes from being on the ground, understanding your client's mindset needs. So it was a kind of organic way of going forward. So it's not just fashion and sports that SML does. It's also kind of business advice, individuals and corporations. But I like to focus on fashion and sports.
Did you notice that even your interests that are outside the law and your hobbies are going to take you back to work? So you did the fashion out of love to the fashion side, and you did sport because you're enthusiast and you're doing sports all your life and you like this, but it kind of take you a little bit back to the profession.
There's a huge compliment, which is nice.
Yeah.
And it's I've like built my own little ecosystem in the fashion, sports and law side. And it's a niche area. This year we introduced the first LLB program for sports law at Middlesex University, Dubai, where I'm adjunct faculty. And I know there's a huge need for it. Across the GCC, when I was doing my LLB like 1,000 years ago, we didn't have things like fashion law. You know, we did the tort, etc. Fashion, sports are great areas for the new generation, especially in this region. But yes, it all kind of complements each other.
Do you believe in work-life balance?
I believe work-life balance doesn't exist. I believe it's a myth. I believe it's nice to talk about and work towards. But the reality is, to me, and I just walk my own path and talk about my own experience, you're always giving something up at some stage to achieve something else. But that doesn't matter. When you get over the guilt trip, nothing's ever perfect. Somebody who says to me, I've got my kids where I want them, I've got my work where I want it, my partner's happy, my friends are happy, I'm living in utopia. I'm like, no, that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
At any given point, when you're really vested in work, you might be slacking a bit from family life or personal life. And then when you're, really enjoying that side, you might be slacking a bit from work. But hey, it's okay. I think as long as you know yourself, what you prioritize and when, and that changes throughout your life. What I wanted 20 years ago is very different to what I want now. So work-life balance is a myth. It doesn't exist. You make your life balance for you as you go through your journey. And you don't get to kind of judge anyone's life because everybody's different and they're at different stages of life. So my view is that I had to give up a lot to get to where I'm at, the sacrifices that go in. Do I regret that? Absolutely not. Would I do it again? Yes, because I wouldn't be here today if I didn't.
I understand that everybody, or especially in the law, we have this entrepreneurial feelings, even when we were just working hour and hour, put the billable hours together and reaching our targets and so on. But we have this thing of trying to build things. And that's probably why when you grow to a certain level, you started feel having these entrepreneurship feelings and start to build companies or initiatives and so on. This sense of achievement is different than the sense of achievement for a lawyer who is fixing a case or getting a conflict and so on. Which one do you prefer?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think I have a preference for either. I think if you do something, you do it well. It's what gives you self-satisfaction. As lawyers, there's very little kind of, validation or we are recognized for what we do day in, day out. We do so much. And, you get the odd client who's really thankful and like, you've really changed everything. But we are happy when we've seen something through to the end, and it's a personal sense of self-satisfaction. When I do things for others through SML Lifestyle, and when they achieve, their achievements are mine. So it's not like law when we kind of achieve, even though it's for our client, you feel a sense of self satisfaction because you've made a difference to that case. When my clients achieve well through SM Lifestyle, I feel happy for them, and it's a joint satisfaction. So they're different feelings, but equally, I think for me, what gets me going and what I thrive for is a challenge. Like I get bored if something's just routine, which is why I'm always kind of, doing something different and something new. I've always been like that. So some people say, how can you kind of switch from law to fashion and sports and travel and be in one country one day and one the next? I'm like, I don't know any other way. I've always got like 50 things spinning, and that gives me a sense of kind of achievement, satisfaction that I'm utilizing my time for me. It's not for everyone, and I don't at all say that, people should be like this, but it's what's worked for me and what gives me that kind of day-to-day purpose, sense and satisfaction.
That's very nice. Can you tell me about your travels? How many times do you travel a year for work? How many times do you travel a year for Sarah Malik?
Yeah. So, I travel a lot for work. At one stage, I think every couple of weeks I was on a plane, and they started joking around in some of the dispute suites saying, we should just get you a jet. And I thought, maybe I should do a GoFundMe on LinkedIn and say, guys, we can share this. Let's do a crowdfunding. But no, from the beginning when I set Sol up, it was called Sol International. Our second kind of page on the website was about the fact that we're affiliated in different jurisdictions. So I have a background in the UK. I'm set up in ADGM. I do work out here. I have a footprint in Africa because I'm appointed in Singapore. So I wanted to kind of differentiate and show that international stance. And I really enjoy doing stuff internationally.
I want to ask you a question now to give an advice, but sorry, not the traditional way. What advice you give to the young lawyers to grow and to do and succeed? Because everybody said that. I want you to say the opposite. What are the things that they should avoid, not do, to have a successful career and to have a good life as well?
Okay, number one, I think what you should not do as a young lawyer is try to not be yourself. I know you have to fit a mold. I know that you're expected to kind of grow with the company and do as you're told, but you should not sell yourself out. You are a person. Authenticity and rawness, I think, has got me where I am today, and probably yourself, right? People respect that you're yourself and you're not trying to be something you're not, a bad photocopy of somebody else. So do not try and replicate what you are not, because you're just killing your soul in doing that. Number two, do not do this profession and do not be part of it unless you are vested and you have that fire in your soul, that hunger in your belly. I had that. I still have it to some degree. But when I was much younger and I was starting out at 20, I had a burning passion for law. And if you don't have that, do not do this profession because it will suck you dry. It's a really kind of hands-on profession, as you know, constantly kind of learning, constant deadlines, constant struggles, constant stress. And if it's not your passion, do not do it. Number three, I think, do not think that, I'm kind of a one-man band and I want to get further without working as a team. Collaboratively, you will go much further. Do not be that lawyer who's backstabbing others, or healthy competition is good in a law firm. Right. Don't get me wrong, but don't put yourself out there and alienate your colleagues. You go so far together. And I think sometimes it's not the lawyer's fault, it's the law firm's fault. They play people off against each other. And I think it's wrong. And thankfully, when I was trained, it wasn't like that. But even within my own team, I'm not impressed by somebody kind of getting one up on another. I'm impressed by you all working together and having each other's backs. So don't be that lawyer. Also, don't kind of overpromise and underdeliver. Sometimes you're new, you're young, you think you can take on 15 things you can't. Be realistic, go to a mentor, get guidance, or go to your supervisor and say, look, I've got all of these tasks. I don't want to say no to them because they're being fired at me, but can I prioritize? And, can I push some off till tomorrow and get that guidance? Don't overburden yourself because one, your work output won't be great. Number two, you're going to be stressed out and it's all going to come crashing down. The people who've given you the work aren't going to be happy with it. You yourself are going to be absolutely exhausted. So it's a kind of circular no. So definitely don't do that. And don't kind of keep quiet where you need to communicate. I think one of the pet problems young lawyers have is the failure to communicate. So many things can be avoided if people communicated. So don't kind of keep quiet where you don't need to, and make sure that, you are putting your point forward. And also, it's a kind of do rather than a don't, but I guess I can mix it into both. Don't try and cover things up. Own your mistake. We all make mistakes. We're human. Nobody's, perfect. And in our profession, we miss deadlines. We might send an email that goes to the wrong person, because it's a very easy mistake to do. Yeah. Own that mistake. Yeah. If you don't own it, it will own you. Now, that's advice I give, whether it's personal or professional. If you make a mistake and you take ownership of it, it doesn't come back to bite you. Yes, I did that. Yes, I fixed it. Whereas if you shy away from it, or you try and cover it up, or you kind of, tell untruths about it, it'll forever chase you. So don't try and cover things up. Don't try and pull the wool over the eyes of your senior kind of colleagues. I mean, sometimes we think it's laughable when a junior is trying to explain their way out of a situation, and within about 10 seconds, what's the reality of what's happened, but you kind of entertain it anyway because you're like, let me see how far you're going to go with this. And I always say to my team, if I ask you a question 9 times out of 10, I already know the answer, right? So don't underestimate the seniors. You know, we come with grey hairs and a lot of kind of wisdom. And don't be afraid to reach out and ask questions. I think sometimes there's this, I have to know everything. And if I ask somebody something, it looks like I'm not a great lawyer. I was never of that mindset. Rather than spend 10 hours in a library, if I could pick the phone up, speak to my instructor solicitor, I would. I'd still do the work. But don't feel that, you know, you don't have an outlet to reach out to. I wish people told us that as we were growing up in the law, but I was fortunate to have a very good kind of supervisor. And I was always very kind of different anyway. And I never was that kind of lawyer who was going to keep quiet and do things just because I was told to do. I was always fairly disruptive, and I guess to some degree still am.
That's great. Maybe it's a Dubai thing. Everybody has a Rolex and has other 5-10 other watches, okay? My question is, the percentage of time that you wear the Rolex versus all the other watches.
Okay. So in full disclosure, I don't only have one, I probably have about 8, right? So these watches are a thing of mine, and I'd probably have more real estate if I didn't have a thing for watches and shoes and handbags.
Yes.
But no, I've always loved watches over the years, and I've invested heavily. So when you say you don't wear one over the other, I guess wearing one over, you know, the other ones you have is a question. But no, I have a good collection, I hope, for my children. So, and I try to kind of change according to the outfit or mood, but sometimes it's difficult.
And a favorite brand of watches?
So I like Rolex for day to day. I do have a Patek Philippe.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of Hublots, and I really do like those. They're quite sporty. But I think my favorite brand, and one I will have maybe in a couple of years, I work towards, is the AP. I want to buy the AP. And the Hermes Birkin. That's my next on my wish list.
But that's the thing. That's the observation, is like the most of the time you will be on which one?
Probably still on the Rolex because it's more day to day, right?
That's the point. Yeah. Every other lawyer do that. I think you'll own them, you'll like them, but you go for the Rolex.
You go for it's just you know, it's a standard. It works. It's you know, you know what to expect from it. So.
Right. Well, thank you very much for the time.
Thank you for having me.
I enjoyed. The coffee is good, I hope.
It's very good.
Yeah. This is your dose from Monday Legal. See you next week.
And thank you very much to Monday Legal jurist and Ahmed. I really enjoyed that because it was so non-legal and just absolutely not scripted. And I like that better, the kind of freestyle interviews. Thank you very much.